everybody. Welcome back to the Ahnenerbe Hour featuring the Paranormies. I'm Johnny Monoxide. This week, I'm joined by Adam Haight, Hazard McRee, and a special guest, Bradshaw. What's going on, guys?
I'm ready to get fucking spooky, kid.
What's up, Brad?
Not too much. We've been getting some good reviews. Our fans have been talking to us a little bit. Keep it up. We love comments. And if you want to see us cover something, let us know, and we'll look into it.
Right on. Sounds good. What's going on with you, Adam?
Oh, just been working. Same old, same old.
That whole job thing.
Is it alive, or can you still not say?
What?
Off air.
All right. Apparently, we got some strange crosstalk going on, some weird things. So speaking of our fans, I have a correction to make. Last episode, we talked about the Bohemian Grove, and from the research that I had done, I was under the impression that Freighter H, L. Ron Hubbard, was involved in the Manhattan Project. But thanks to our friend Ghetto Tarzan, I was informed that he was not, in fact, at the Bohemian Grove for the meeting and was not, in fact, even involved in the Manhattan Project. It was a story that he made up and propagated himself, and Aleister Crowley had even told Jack Parsons to be careful and watch out for this guy. So, I fucked up, but hey.
So L. Ron Hubbard wasn't there, but he still lied and said that he was?
Apparently so.
So he thought... So he at some point had to have found out about it. I don't know. I wonder how that compares to when the public found out. I wonder who...
So not only did he cuck Jack Parsons, steal his fucking girlfriend, he also tried to take credit for some of Parsons' work. Fucking L. Ron Hubbard, oven fodder through and through.
Apparently so, yeah. He was, he's a shady guy from the beginning, apparently. But anyways, thanks to Ghetto Tarzan for pointing that out. And, we're talking about, occult, paranormal, aliens, ghosts, weird stuff. A lot of this isn't exactly referenceable. A lot of it's, hearsay and stories and, Wikipedia stuff. But if we make a mistake, just let us know. And we'll look into it. And if we're wrong, we'll fix it.
And hey, and even if we can't prove it, it's still a lot of fun to talk about.
Oh, hell yeah. That's the other thing. Even if it's not provable and it just comes from, the deep web and, and people's stories talking about how they saw Bigfoot or whatever, it's still, like I said, great fun to talk about. All right.
Yeah, dude. Saw fucking Bigfoot.
So,
Andy,
Bradshaw...
like you said at the end of our Bohemian Grove episode, even if you don't believe in this shit, a lot of really fucking powerful people do. So it's going to affect you whether it's real or not.
That's right.
Absolutely. So, Bradshaw, you're joining us today. Why don't you give our audience a little bit of a background on what you're going to tell us about? It's going to be spooky, right?
Oh, there's a lot of spooky things in the Bridgewater Triangle. Like, the Bridgewater Triangle is this 200 square mile or so, area within Massachusetts. It starts, actually, I showed you guys the map. It starts in the town of Abington at the very tip of the triangle, goes down to the to the southwest in Rehoboth is the next corner, and then down to the Freetown State Forest in Fall River and Freetown.
And we'll have a picture of this map in the comment section or in the video or something like that for the viewer.
Yeah.
Yes.
And everything and anything you can think of that's paranormal has happened here. Everything from, UFOs to poltergeists, orbs, Bigfoot, giant snakes, thunderbirds.
Wow.
Puckwudgies.
Hold on a second. What's?
A puckwudgie.
A puckwudgie?
A puckwudgie. They're in Wampanoag folklore, there are these 3-foot tall little, almost like fairies from Europe. And if you look at them, they're the stereotypical long-nosed, sweaty, hairy tricksters.
They sound familiar. They sound very familiar.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, the puckwudgies...
I wonder what Ben Shapiro would call something like that.
Probably call him Dad.
Sick burn.
So the Pukwudgies are these little like humanoid tricksters that live in the Bridgewater Triangle area, mainly the Hockomock Swamp, which I'll get into later. The Wampanoag believed they were just little evil spirits that would go through the wood, and if you saw one, you leave it alone, because these things can do so much shit to you. They can disappear at will. They can transform into different things like little porcupines and attack you. They can lure people to their deaths sometimes with like a siren song. They can use magic, an assortment of poison weapons, can create fire. They can do whatever the fuck they want, and they can supposedly possess people. Like if you look on YouTube, there's I think we're losing Hazard. Yeah,
we're having robot problems.
We really need to find a medium better than Skype.
Yeah,
I think the CIA or JIDF or whoever is probably trying to tap in.
Could be the aliens.
It happens.
Someone heard the Bohemian Grove episode and they realized you know too much.
They knew too much. So you were saying again about the Pukwudgies? Sorry, go ahead.
There's a video online which I originally saw in a documentary titled The Bridgewater Triangle. It's where I did most of my research, honestly, because the guy who made it did a really good job of picking the best stories out. And it's just a woman freaking out, making like inhuman noises, speaking in tongues, trying to attack her friends. It's a weird video. People out in the Hockomock Swamp specifically looking for Pukwudgies.
Can you link? You said there's a video of them looking for them?
Yeah, I don't have it offhand, but you can pretty much just Google Pukwudgie possession and you can find it.
Okay.
Wow. All right.
Interesting.
So just real briefly, this is up in New England, which is the area where the colonists first landed, up in that area. So I imagine there's several centuries of lore and all sorts of spooky stuff to develop.
Oh yeah, a lot of the origins of why this place is supposedly haunted date back to King Philip's War. And King Philip was the nickname that the settlers gave to the leader of the Wampanoag. I believe his name was Metacomet. And they lived in, harmony for a while. And eventually, the savages they started attacking settlers, sacking entire villages. It's one of the bloodiest wars in U.S. history. If you don't look at the actual numbers of like soldiers that died, just people, like whether they're the Native American tribes or the settlers themselves, a lot of people died in it.
Interesting.
Wow.
So you said there was a tribe there, the
Wampanoag.
Wampanoag. Okay. So that was a quote native unquote tribe here.
Yeah, they were one of the largest in the area. They were also known as Massasoit. Well, Massasoit was their leader at the time when they originally met with the settlers in Plymouth and various colonies around Massachusetts.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
One of the theories about why the Bridgewater Triangle is such a hotbed for paranormal activity is the Wampanoag people had this thing called the Wampum Belt. And the Wampum Belt was this decorative, belt that they had the history of the Wampanoag tribe woven into. And at one point, this was stolen by the settlers. And until it was returned to the people, the land was going to be cursed.
Interesting.
You can go into a lot of places around, specifically the Hockomock Swamp, and you can just find Indian burial grounds.
A lot of dead engines.
Yeah. The Hockomock Swamp, Hockomock in Algonquin means place where spirits roam, roughly translated. And that's really the biggest area in the triangle. It's where most of the sightings happen. A lot of, the Pukwudgies, the Native American ghosts, the Bigfoot, Big Feet. What do you guys call them? Big Feet, Bigfoots?
The Sasquatches. I don't know.
Sasquatches.
Yeah. That's a Bigfoot's for a whole another episode, though. Yeah,
I definitely want to be on that one.
I love the just the idea and the lore behind Bigfoot. It's great. But now the wampum belt you were talking about, right? Is now I was reading some of the stuff that you had up there that was it the profile rock?
Yes, so that there was a rumor that the belt was returned at Profile Rock, but that can't be confirmed.
Okay.
So, it's a little.
But the thing is that the legend says that now there's a ghost that can be seen there every now and then. While he's waiting for the wampum belt, apparently.
Yeah. Well, Profile Rock was already like a sacred location to those people because it was, it was a rock that looked like a person.
Okay.
Oh, of course.
Right. Right on. So what else about this wampum? What else was besides that? So it was basically like you said it was their entire history was woven into the belt, and then the settlers came and stole it, and then that caused some sort of disturbance in the force.
Well, what happened was some of them surrendered, and I can never remember the names of any of these people because I don't know. I'm not that big into King Philip's War. But they surrendered to the settlers, and when one of them, the one who accepted the surrender, went back to the colony to let everyone know that they surrendered, the soldiers just slaughtered them all and took the belt.
Oh, wow.
Understandable.
Yeah. So that's one of the theories about the Bridgewater Triangle. There's also just a lot of satanic activity in certain areas of it, and anything you can think of is the explanation. Aliens is one of them. There's been a lot of UFO sightings there.
Has there?
Yeah, specifically at the Raynham dog track. I actually, before I planned to come on, well, when we were in the talks about me coming on, I decided to go out late at night, about 2 a.m, me and my roommates, just to drive around the Bridgewater Triangle.
You were telling us about that.
It was a lot of fun. We drove around in a Jeep doorless, so if we saw anything, we were pretty much fucked. But no, we didn't see anything. It was just a lot of fun seeing the different areas. Some of the, specifically Rehoboth, the very bottom left corner, that place is really creepy at night. There's a lot of fog because there's, because of all the wetlands. And some of it, like, we went to this one graveyard, which supposedly we looked up later on, I don't know the name, is, a haunted graveyard there. And the fog was dense inside it, but there was no fog anywhere else around it, just in the graveyard.
That's creepy.
Yeah, we didn't stop. We just kind of like, we rolled by.
I bet. The case is not where I want to be right now. Super spooky. Graveyard, fog, nope.
I have a story about the Hockomock Swamp and sort of Native American burial grounds from a friend of mine that I met through the TRS pool parties out here.
Oh, right on.
He told me about how he came into this collection of arrowheads from all across the Bridgewater Triangle and outside the Bridgewater Triangle, mainly just, southeastern Mass. And he had them all labeled. And one thing in it, he pulled this out. He showed it to me, this vial of some kind of red powder. And he said, I have to tell you about this. He was big into traditional Catholicism, and he had a priest over one day. And the priest, the second he walked through his door, grabbed his head and started saying it felt like someone was stabbing him in the temple. Walks right up to his study, opens the case, pulls this thing out, and says, "What is this?" And he looks at the label, and it was paint scraped from an Indian burial mound, like an Indian gravestone. And so the priest just whipped out some holy water and blessed it, and supposedly it's fine now.
Wow, what a story. Just goes straight for it.
Yeah, he immediately seeked it out, picked it up, and asked him, "What is this? It's evil."
Huh. Well, I mean...
So the Bridgewater Triangle is like the highest concentration of spooky shit in New England? Or really, maybe even in the whole U.S., you think?
I wouldn't say the whole U.S. because there are a lot of freaky shit out in other states, but probably New England. Yeah, it's one of the weirdest places in New England. There's another triangle or whatever in Vermont, but I think they're just a bunch of tryhards.
Well, I think it's really interesting that our first contact with natives in the United States has led to a basically permanent haunting.
Yeah. Hey, well, like I said, it was one of the bloodiest things in U.S. history. Because during that war, they would just sack entire colonies of people.
Wow. Yeah, and that's not something you hear too much in the history books either about, that. It's usually the poor natives getting sacked.
Betrayal of tears.
The smallpox blankets. Why can't we just love the Native Americans like they did at the first Thanksgiving? Oh, dude, living right near Plymouth, you hear a lot of that shit.
Oh, I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do.
So how long have you been investigating spooky stuff in the Bridgewater Triangle? Did you grow up with it?
I had heard rumors about it, and I only first heard about it like a few years ago, when I have some buddies who go to Bridgewater State University, and we would just hang out around his campus every once in a while, and we heard stories about the Hockomock Swamp and all that stuff, and we would, wander not too far into the woods, but just a couple of stupid college students having a couple beers trying to look for ghosts. Well, nothing too serious.
The Hockomock Swamp is a haunted swamp, right?
Yeah, that's the densest area of sort of stories you can find is about Hockomock Swamp. It's huge. It's like the very corner of where three towns meet, and the Rainham Dog Track I mentioned, which is where the UFOs have been spotted. That's in the Hockomock Swamp. It's West Bridgewater, Easton, and a little bit of Bridgewater, Taunton, and Rainham.
And Hockomock means the place where spirits dwell.
Yeah, in Algonquin, I believe. I don't know.
I have no idea what language that is. I just know that that's what they call it.
Yeah.
Have you been to the swamp?
It's so massive, and it's more. They call it a swamp, but it's just wetlands. It's a wetland area because it's huge. It's like the size of a town itself. So there's a lot of areas that there are buildings, there are houses, and all that. It's just a very dense wetland area. But we did drive through it. We went to all the hot spots in the triangle.
Oh wow! So let me see what else we got here. There's the Hockomock Swamp, Dighton Rock, of course Profile Rock that we talked about. What else is there's the Fall River State Forest, Freetown Fall River State Forest.
We call it the Freetown State Forest, but we did go through there. We went by there. We couldn't really get in there because we were driving around at like 3 a.m. So all the it's a state park. They close a lot of the roads down, don't let anyone in. So we just kind of like went around the forest. Also, we didn't want to go too deep into Fall River at 3 a.m. because that place is just junky city. That's scarier
really?
That's scarier than the forest itself is driving through Fall River.
I bet. You don't want to get jumped by a bunch of junkies.
Yeah, especially when you took the doors off the Jeep. You don't want to drive through Fall River. Yeah. I mean, I could get into some different sightings, different happenings that happen there.
Yeah, why don't you talk about things that you yourself were involved in or witnessed? What's your favorite story?
The only real paranormal experience I have wasn't in the Bridgewater Triangle. It was north of it in a place called Blue Hills, which is this like ski slope, Blue Hills Reservation. It's like a big foresty area. It's like the only mountain near me. It's technically a mountain. It has a nice ski slope on it. And at the top there's this huge old like observation tower with a little area that has like picnic tables, and there's a big fireplace in this open room on the side. And me and my friends decide to, just hike up there that night, take some pictures in it, And as we were all taking our pictures in the doorway of the creepy old stone building at night, I noticed something. I started going, "Do you guys smell that? I smell smoke." And we go back into the building, and suddenly there's just a roaring fire in the fireplace. Wasn't there when we got there. There was no one around. We didn't hear anyone. It was just out of nowhere. There was just a fire in the fireplace, and we freaked the fuck out. We ran down the mountain, we ran down the side of a ski slope, trying to get the fuck out of there.
So there was no fire, then all of a sudden there was fire.
Yeah, I smelled it before I saw it. I smelled fire, and I just turned around, walked in to a few steps, and was like, "Well, fuck, that's fire." Wow.
Now, was this place was this place known to be haunted at all?
No, that's why it was weird. It's there. At least I didn't hear anything, and I've Googled it. Blue Hills ghosts, and I've never seen anything on it.
That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, it's not to say that there couldn't have been. You know what I mean? A recent ghost or something.
There's probably an explanation for it. I don't know one. I'm really into researching this stuff, but I don't believe most of it. I believe probably 2% of what I read.
Really?
Yeah.
So do you believe the stuff about the triangle? Until
I see it now.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But I want to believe.
And that's well, you kind of have to want to believe in order to get past some of the tinfoily aspects of things. Because I mean, there's a lot of stories out there for a lot of different things, and everything can be explained away, pretty much. Whether it's ghosts or aliens or conspiracy theories or whatever. There's always an official story. Then there's 16 different websites telling you that the official stories are wrong. And then there's other, 65 more websites that are debunking the debunking, and then you can get deep into it.
And then they start calling each other Jews, and it's eventually it gets to a point where you don't even know who's trying to trick who.
Right. Yes. It always comes back down to that, who's lying to who and who's pulling the shiesty stuff. But no, I'm kind of the same way. I'm a little bit more I like to believe, you want to believe. I like to believe that this could happen, kind of a thing. And where then the more I research it, the more it sometimes turns out that it's not true, which is fine. But sometimes it's disappointing because there's a lot of times that I've invested a little bit into believing it, and then you find out later on that it's not true, and it's that was a waste of time. But it was fun. I mean, a lot of stuff is like I said, it's a lot of fun, regardless. Unless you're having stigmata happening to you, and then that's not so fun. But speaking of which, we will have our Brit Bong buddy back in a while. Hopefully, have him back on, our buddy Gray. He's off in a foreign land, doing some fun and spoopy stuff, so he should have some great stories and pictures and stuff for us when he gets back.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing that.
Yeah,
looking forward to that, definitely.
I don't want to give too much away.
Has anything else happened since you talked about who?
No, not really. I mean, I've said it before. I want to do it. I know Hazard wants to do it. He's having some technical difficulties with his connection. I know he wants to do an episode on He Who Is Not to Be Named.
Voldemort.
Yes. We're not going to talk about Voldemort. You're a wizard, Harry. No. But I think that'd be a great episode too. I know you posted something in the group the other. Was it you that posted it, Brad? Voldemort. About that?
About what? What was
about He who shall not be named.
Yes. So what was it? Obama appoints Moloch to the Supreme Court. That little joke article. Oh shit! I said his name.
Oh no, we have to. We might have to edit that out so everybody doesn't hear it.
Oh no.
Or not. I mean, we'll see.
I'm locking my door right now.
You should go lock your door, just in case he decides to come in the front. But
He's already in the house.
the calls are coming from inside the house.
So we
back to
got
the,
a haunted swamp.
Yeah, we have a haunted swamp. Yes, thank you.
We have the wampum belt. Would you say that is the source of a lot of the hauntings, or do you think that's just one among the many different sites?
That's one among the many different things going on here. Because I could also get into the stuff that happened down in the Freetown State Forest, which is the southeast corner of the triangle.
Please do.
So,
Johnny.
The Freetown State Forest has gotten a reputation for a lot of satanic cults like congregating there and doing rituals. They would find mutilated animals, like animal bones everywhere. One incident was the police found 7 calves and like baby cows. I said calves. So 7 dead baby calves in a little clearing, all with their blood drained. Just the carcasses laying there, drained blood in the middle of a clearing.
Really?
So it's either aliens or Satanists.
Yeah.
It's supposedly Satanists.
There's a lot of stories about Satanists in New England. I lived in Caribou, Maine, which is like way upstate Maine, when I was, what grade was that? 5th grade? Something like that. So I was 5th grade, 12? 11, 12, something like that. And we lived on a farmhouse, and they had in Maine, all the houses, like a lot of the ones that have barns and whatever, they're all connected. So you have the house is connected to the garage, is connected to the barn, connected to the chicken coop, because they get like 12 feet of snow, and you got to go feed the cows, and you don't have time or whatever to dig out the entire barn, out of the snow. So anyways, so we had this chicken coop at the end, and I don't know if it was Satanists or if it was, well, when I was a kid, my mom told me it was high school students were having a party or something like that, but there were dead chickens and all kinds of stuff, pentagrams painted on the walls with black and red spray paint and whatever. I don't know if they were having satanic rituals in there and doing some sort of Santeria or something. But I remember seeing that when I was a kid. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not even kidding. Actually, when we first moved into the house, we moved in the winter, and my room had like a window looking out over the backyard and all of our land, like 40 acres of farmland. And it was wintertime, so there was snow on the roof. And we had the back porch had a roof on it. And there was snow on the roof. And, looking out the window every day, you didn't think anything of it. But as the snow melted in the spring, there was a dead cat with a wire around its neck. Like they had strung it up and then swung it around and threw it up there. Yeah, so putting together that stuff now as I got older, like thinking about it, that there could have been some sort of weird. I mean, it could have been high school students just fucking around. But I mean, thinking about it now, there was dead animals, pentagrams, that kind of stuff. Bottles of bodily fluids, piss bottles and stuff back there, and it could have been some sort of satanic ritual going on. And it is up in the sticks out in the middle of Maine, so, Stephen King he's from up there. He writes all them spooky stories about fucking woods up there. That was probably the scariest place I ever lived. Because the woods were all that in the wintertime when it was dark and the birch trees, it's all black outside and you see nothing but the white trees. It's super scary.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So, so to shift gears back to the Freetown State Forest. Is there more than Satanists out there, do you think?
There are a couple of Wampanoag landmarks out there. Like, let me see. Let me pull up the map. There's Profile Rock at the very end of the forest. The very northernmost part of the forest is where Profile Rock is. But there's also this place known as the Ledge, which is a cliff overlooking an old quarry. And people have been known to just fall off there as if they were pushed by some force. And people have fallen to their deaths there. People have gone missing in these woods before.
Just gone?
Just gone. Just disappeared. Well, some of them are found later on.
Their blood drained?
No blood drained, but say they're not going to make it home in the morning.
Just found dead.
Just found dead.
Wow.
One really creepy thing that was found. I'm actually going to send you a picture. It's a little old because it's a someone scanned a Polaroid picture.
Oh,
it's a little. The police found this little lean-to, kind of like in the ground, almost like a little foxhole. And in there, they found a bunch of twisted up baby dolls with no heads and limbs ripped off, and this small seat cut out of a stump that was about the size you could put a 4 or 5 year old or just a small toddler on and restrain it to it and do all they found blood there, and this was in the time before they had real DNA testing.
Right.
They found that and another shack like it in another part of the forest.
Well, that's crazy.
And probably one of the most famous incidents in the area was this man called Carl Drew. He basically tried starting his own little satanic coven, his own little stable of hookers. And so what him and his girlfriend would do is they'd get all their hookers together and they'd pick one out and sacrifice her.
Whoa.
He's currently in jail for life with no parole for the murder of 3 separate women. One of them was in with him, but she was, I think I can't remember why it was. I think she was too mouthy, so he decided to kill her too, and that was the one he got caught for.
Do you know how he killed them?
He used a knife, and one of them, I believe, was just beaten with a rock.
Jesus Christ.
With a rock.
Yeah.
Seems kind of like a secret if you're making.
One of the women, his first victim, named Donna Levesque, was tortured, ripped off her fingernails, pulled out her hair.
Good.
He eventually had his girlfriend slit her throat. So she was the one who killed it. They both went to jail for all this.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And these are Satanists?
Yeah, this guy's tried starting his own little satanic cult of hookers.
Oh, okay, the hooker Satan group. Okay, right. Yeah.
Oh, right.
Now, was this just human sacrifices, or were they doing other thaumaturgic things? You said they were prostitutes.
I don't know the full story on that. I just know mainly that this guy was a Satanist, and he was, sacrificing beautiful young women to his Dark Lord.
Prostitutes. Beautiful.
And was that? That was the Freetown State Forest as well?
Yeah. Well, to be fair, this was back in 79, so maybe the prostitutes were better looking back then.
Okay.
Another story I have from around 79 was the Black Dog of Abington.
Ooh.
Sounds
It was well, this was a little earlier in the 70s, but
What are you doing?
it was a large black dog,
I'm muted. What are you doing?
larger than any dog you've ever seen.
What are you getting?
Bigger
I don't
than
know, I've
Saint
seen them in
Bernard.
Obama.
In the snack drawer.
Ooh.
Look in the snack drawer.
Bigger than a Saint Bernard or a Newfoundland or anything like that. He went onto this man's farm, ripped out the throats of 2 of his ponies.
Whoa.
And so the man runs out of his house with his gun, shoots at the dog, and it seems like he just can't hit the dog. Calls the cops, and there's just a big manhunt, or I should say dog hunt, for this big giant black dog, and people were just calling off the hook, calling into the police station in Abington.
Now, if I remember correctly, wasn't that I vaguely remember a story something similar to this? Was that the one where afterwards he went to the spot where the dog was when he'd shot at it, and there was like strange fucking blood all over the place, like he'd hit it repeatedly, but it just didn't fucking care?
I didn't hear anything about that, but I'll definitely look into that.
Like, we may have to issue a retraction on that one. That may have been some other fucking story, but I remember something like that.
Funny enough, there's that could be related to another urban legend in Massachusetts, the Dover Demon, which is supposedly like this large Doberman-sized demon. It's kind of like the Jersey Devil.
Get in here and sit down.
Could have something to do with that, because a lot of people have said, "Oh no, the Dover Demon is just a giant Doberman." You don't want anything in the drawer? There was
cookies. No, then you don't want anything. Then you're not
hungry.
But
I have. That's something for another
You've had ice cream
episode.
2 days in a row. You don't need it 2 days in a row.
All right.
So a lot of people were all calling in about this big black dog. Just, I saw him over here. And eventually the cops found the dog, shot at it once again.
Well,
nothing.
You don't
dog,
get anything. Just
almost as if the bullets went right around the dog. The cop said, and the dog just disappeared back into the forest,
around
never to be seen
the dog,
again.
like Matrix style.
Like Matrix style. Like the bullets just slowed down and went around him.
Whoa! Here's my Keanu Reeves. Whoa!
That was one of the earlier and more famous incidents in the Bridgewater Triangle.
Wow.
So that was, you said, about 79 up in Abington. It looks like the top corner.
Yeah, the very top of
northmost.
76, it says. 76 was the year that happened.
Abington, yep, that's the upper corner there. It's crazy. Yeah, you got
my favorite. What was that?
Is there anything? I know there's a lake. What's it called? Lake Nippinicket in the middle there.
I haven't heard anything about it. That I'm pretty sure is just part of the Hockomock Swamp. So any stories about the Hockomock Swamp is going to include stories about the lake.
Okay.
One of my favorite sort of hauntings or activity in the Bridgewater Triangle is the red-headed hitchhiker of Route 44. Because growing up, I used to love ghost stories. I still do. I'll still listen to like creepypasta. That's why I love the creepypasta at the end of every episode that you guys got going on.
Oh, thanks. Yeah,
they're really good. I hate horror movies though, because they're so Hollywood's terrible.
Well,
you don't say.
Yeah. It's a lot different than like a good ghost story. It's just someone getting like stabbed and blood splatting all over the camera.
I mean, they haven't had really good horror movies in years. They used to. Horror movies used to be good. I'm not gonna lie. Like, they used to be my favorite genre of movies, and now they're just. It's literally just how much you can make people jump. In the theater.
Yeah. They go for jump scares or like gore. There's no. They don't try and build that feeling of dread in the audience anymore. Just that hot feeling in the back of your neck. They don't try and like.
They don't try and build up the suspense and get atmospheric horror going. There's a difference between, at least for me, for how scary a movie is, there is a difference between a jump scare that startles me for a moment and maybe makes me, go, fuck. And when they actually build up some atmospheric horror and get that sort of fucking, the sensation of skin crawling on the back of your neck, that primal unease going, that's the sort of thing I like.
Yeah, I mean, some of the better ones were the ones that like gave you actual nightmares. You know what I mean? Like, maybe it was just from being a kid, but I mean, like, where you're watching a movie where you're actually afraid. Like later on, you're actually like thinking about it, and it's and it's actually scaring you, and you're not watching the movie anymore. You know what I mean?
Bradshaw, would you say that the red-headed hitchhiker gave you that kind of a feeling?
The stories aren't that good. I ordered a book that a few of the stories are in. It didn't come in yet, but like the stories are real first-hand accounts. I'm actually taking one of the stories and kind of reworking it into like a creepypasta.
Oh, nice.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So hold on.
Which-
This whole book is about the red-headed hitchhiker?
No, it's the New England Ghost Files,
Oh, okay.
an authentic compendium of frightening phantoms. And the redheaded hitchhiker is file number 7 in the book, but
Okay.
I like reading about ghosts and ghoulies and all that, so I just decided to spring and buy the book. And if I like it, I might look for other ones for different parts of the country.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And you say this happened at Route 44.
Route 44, specifically by Rehoboth. If you open up the map again, you can look down in Rehoboth. There's something called Anawan Rock. Usually in that area, the Dighton-Rehoboth border.
Mhm.
That's where most of the sightings of him are.
And the red-headed hitchhiker is male.
Yes, he's a long-haired, long-bearded, red-headed man who wears dirty jeans and a red flannel.
Wow.
He some of the stories are about him just, getting picked up by a truck driver, and he just looks forward, doesn't look at the truck driver, just with a really creepy grin on, and the truck driver tries talking to him, he doesn't say anything, he gets freaked out until he just says, "Get the fuck out of my truck," and the guy disappears. Other ones are people, he appears
from the seat? Like he
Just
gets
gone.
out and
Yeah,
disappears? Or?
just like that, gone.
Wow.
Other ones are about them like running him over and the car just goes right through him. The best one though is the one I'm reworking right now into a creepypasta. Is the one that's in the book. It's about this guy who breaks down in Rehoboth on Route 44 with his girlfriend, and this was back in like the 80s or whatever, so no one had a cell phone. And he decides to start walking down Route 44 to look for a gas station so he can call, AAA to get a pickup.
Yeah.
And he sees this guy sitting there.
Hold on. You said you're going to turn this into a creepypasta?
Yeah, I'm turning into a creepypasta.
Well, don't tell us then.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. You want me to save it? You want me to save that story then?
Save that story if you're going to
All
turn
right,
it into,
all right,
into one of
I'll
those
save it.
spooky recordings, man. That'd be awesome. Yeah. But
I have it like I'd probably say like 75% written. I just need to get someone else to proofread it and record it.
Nice. That's cool. You can have somebody look at it for you. So what else we got going on there? We've done the Hockomock Swamp profile rock. We talked about the what are they called? Puckwudgies?
Puckwudgies.
Puckwudgies. I like that word. Puckwudgies.
I don't think... Did we talk about that on air?
Did we
Yeah,
talk about
I just kind of I briefly skimmed over what one is. It's not. I don't know. They're really cool if you're. They're really cool if you're into cryptozoology and you like studying big things like Bigfoot or even like the existence of leprechauns and fairies. If you're into that kind of stuff, that's something you want to read about. But I that's something I'm not into that.
So can we get a
like,
definition
I don't believe
of cryptozoology real quick?
Cryptozoology?
Yeah.
You can hear me typing into Google right now.
Right, I can. Yeah. Okay.
Well,
But
essentially,
Edit this part out unprepared.
Cryptozoology tends to be the study of basically weird critters. Some people would call it the missing link, but it's basically any sort of entity of non-human intelligence that isn't easily defined or explained. So, your Loch Ness Monster, the Chupacabra, your various myths and legends, Thunderbirds, etc. All of those tend to fall under the heading of cryptozoology.
It's
Interesting.
it's pretty much the study of any sort of creature or animal where you can't convincingly prove they exist.
Right.
There's no like hard evidence that they exist.
Relies heavily on anecdotal evidence. So
Yeah.
technically, even though it sounds like an actual discipline of science, it's a pseudoscience. Technically.
Technically speaking, yeah, it does not qualify as science, but that doesn't matter because it's still interesting.
Right. Exactly. It's
Science is not the only way to understand the world.
I mean, like, there's a lot of these things that were supposedly cryptids was like, the okapi, which is, an animal. It's like, well, it's half zebra, half giraffe, or whatever, and then it actually turns out, guess what? It's a real animal.
Yeah.
Well, not giraffe, but it's more like a horse than a zebra.
There was also the Komodo dragon was believed to be like
It's one of my
mythological
favorite animals
creature.
on the face of the planet. I love the Komodo
Dude,
dragon.
those things still, I mean, though, they were thought of as dragons for fucking years, but you actually take a look, the fucking bacteria inside of that fucker's saliva are so fucking toxic, its bite is a fucking neurological weapon. I mean,
That's true.
That thing's a scary fucking critter.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, because the thing is, I might be wrong, but I do not believe that there is a known cure for Komodo dragon poison.
It's not even poison.
It's
not-
bacteria, right? I'm sorry, for the bite.
It's
Yeah.
For the bacteria, right? Yeah.
And it's
'Cause
not it's not something that's like the Komodo dragon's body produces. It is a symbiotic strain of bacteria that lives in their fucking mouths that's just incredibly fucking nasty, to the point where even if they bite something and don't manage to kill it, they just wait for it to drop dead within a couple of hours.
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of the National Geographic stuff on the Komodo dragons, and yeah, they'll bite something and then just follow it around until it falls down dead, and then lunch.
That is pretty gnarly.
Yep,
It's a patient animal.
it really is. It has to be. Well, reptiles in general tend to be very patient hunters. They eat one large meal every however long. And, a lot of times prey doesn't come along, but when it does, they have to be extremely patient to capture it. But anyways, back to the cryptozoology. So a lot of animals that turned out to be real. So there is some crossover between actual zoology and cryptozoology. The mountain gorilla was actually thought to be a cryptid at one point, and turns out it was real too. But some of the more popular cryptids, which we will talk about eventually in another episode, is like Bigfoot, the Loch Ness monster, like Hazard said, the chupacabra.
Jersey
Chupacabra
Devil.
has to go back. He can go kill Mexicans.
I hope. Well, I haven't heard of the chupacabra being here, so I think he's
Arizona, dude. There have been chupacabra sightings in Arizona.
All right. Well, then the one messing around in Arizona has to go back. But what did you say?
Clearly they
Mexicans
aren't
just love
sending their,
place.
I mean, clearly they aren't sending their best.
No, they're not. Yeah. Did you say the Jersey Devil, Bradshaw?
Yeah, I believe Adam also said it.
Oh, was it Adam? Okay, I couldn't.
I said we both said it.
Okay.
Oh, I was just going to say, Mexicans flooded a place and all of a sudden there's chupacabra sightings? Weird.
Weird how that happens, yeah. And then there's some of the cryptids which don't exist, but something like the unicorn, which happens to be the national animal of Scotland.
Nah, unicorn is just a rhino.
Right, because there were rhinoceroses in Scotland at one point. I always thought that the national animal was something that like existed in the country that it was representing. Or are we going to go with the fact that the rhino is a unicorn and that's what they saw and they call it the unicorn?
I was just making a joke.
Oh, I'm all being serious. Adam throws out a joke. I'm like, sorry,
Just a prank, bro.
just a prank. It's a prank, bro.
You're trying to poke holes in his theory.
Yeah, it's not even a horn. It's inflatable. No, but yeah, we'll get into cryptids in another episode. But now, there were some cryptids in the Bridgewater Triangle, right? Supposedly the Thunderbirds, Bigfoot sightings. You said
Bigfoot.
Yeah.
The term the Bridgewater Triangle is actually coined by a cryptozoologist back in when he wrote his book back in the 70s.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
So it originally started as an area to look for cryptids such as
there you go.
Bigfoot's. This thing called the Thunderbird, which they were originally started out as like a Native American thing similar to the Pukwudgies, folklore. And they're supposedly, left remnants of like pterodactyls and pterosaurs from the dinosaur age.
Wow.
They're just very large, birds with 12, 18-foot wingspans.
That's crazy.
Hmm.
That's a big bird for Massachusetts. And actually, reading what we have here, there was actually a police report on one which would kind of lead towards there have been sightings in recent history. It wasn't just something that was seen, a long time ago. If
there was
cops are reporting on it.
Yeah, there was the police officer who claimed he saw one.
Yeah. And that, but I tried to look that link up, but that link is no longer. It's a missing link.
Oh.
So funny. Anyways,
I can't be on the that hurt too much. I can't be on this podcast anymore.
That was good stuff. Damn, that was the daddest joke.
The daddest. Hey, being one, I get to do those every now and then. So.
But anyway, so Bradshaw, you said you're not too big into the cryptids?
No, I think they're really cool. I'll watch some Bigfoot footage here and there, but my area of expertise is ghosts.
Ghosts.
What I'm
okay.
into, the paranormal.
So, what other kind of ghosts are going on in the Bridgewater Triangle, or is there any other interesting stuff you want to point out?
They're mostly Native American spirits that are out there, but there are there's the red-headed hitchhiker. There's the spirits that'll throw you over the ledge in Freetown. There's a lot of individual, just house hauntings in the Bridgewater Triangle, but that's something, that's not published in any book. You hear that through word of mouth, like, oh, did you hear that so-and-so's cousin's, best friend had a ghost in their house?
Ah.
Mm.
It's always like second, third, and fourth hand stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, those are the least reliable.
Right.
Right. And
I still
stories...
trust those more than those stupid fucking Discovery Channel ghost hunting shows.
Oh God, yeah. Well, yeah.
It was so spooky. Oh!
It ruffled.
Did you see that? Did you see that speck of dust? Did you see it?
Yeah. No, I didn't. Yeah. That's one of the things that I don't know if it's those, you have to want to believe to see it, but I've actually spent the night in so-called haunted houses, and we ain't found shit. So that actually brings me to something I want to do, and if I do it, I do want to come back on and talk about it. You all know the story of Lizzie Borden, right? Yes.
Lizzie Borden took an axe and gave her mother 40 whacks. When she had seen what she had done, she gave her father 41. Supposedly she killed her parents with an axe, and her house is now haunted by their spirits.
Well, there's no supposedly about the fact that she killed her parents.
Yeah, there's rumors that the maid did it and made off with the fortune.
Oh.
That's one thing. That there are rumors that the housekeeper stole all the family's money and murdered the parents, blamed it on Lizzie Borden. But that's not what we're trying to get into here. We're trying to get into the paranormal aspect of it, which is the spirits that dwell in the house. And they've converted the original house into a bed and breakfast, and you can stay there.
Oh, you want to go stay at the Lizzie Borden murder house?
I want to go stay at the Lizzie Borden murder house.
Wow.
Have a nice romantic weekend with my girlfriend there.
Nice. That's always fun. Come on, babe. Let's go. We'll go stay at.
Come on, let's go get axe murdered.
Yeah. Let's go get axe murdered at the place where Lizzie Borden killed her mom and dad. God, I don't know, man. I mean, like I said, I've stayed in a haunted house before, but never one where people were supposedly murdered. That's kind of scary, actually.
Well, that must have been a boring haunted house you stayed at, Johnny.
Yeah, I don't. It was. They were dead. They weren't murdered. there were they died. There was the whole family has supposedly died of some disease. And I don't honestly, it was a long time ago, but I don't remember. Like, I my brother supposedly heard stuff, and other people were there that heard stuff, and I didn't hear anything. So maybe I just didn't believe hard enough, or something, or
you forgot to hit the "I want to believe" button.
I did not hit. Yeah, I did not hit the "I want to believe" button. Yeah, it's true. All right, so we're gonna push pause here for a second and take a break, and we'll be back in a little bit. All right, welcome back to the Ahnenerbe Hour with the Paranormies. I'm still Johnny Monoxide. We're still here with Bradshaw. We've got Hazard McRee and Adam Haight. Hey, Hazard, the name McRee. Now, is that like an ancient family name or something, or what?
Oh yeah, it's an old family name. It comes from Scotland, where my ancestors came from Egypt back in the day where they were priests of Kek. That's right, we was Kangs.
He was Kangs, and was that something that they were doing a lot? Was there a lot of reading going on in your family?
Yes, the autism has run strong within my blood for generations upon generations, and the vaccinations just enhanced us.
Oh.
We are the Hyperborean autistes.
Did keeping the bloodline pure, did that have anything to do with the autism?
We're not quite sure yet. I want to be a geneticist, and obviously I'm going to have to intensify the strain of autism so that I plan that when I have children, they're going to come out of the womb reeing. They will immediately turn upon their mother and go, "Fucking Stacy."
Right on. All right. Adam, how you doing back there, buddy?
I'm doing well.
Yeah? Hope you're
Hope
I'm doing well.
Oh, man. Brad, you good?
Yeah, I'm doing great. I actually wanted to ask you guys if you have any personal ghost stories or what are your own beliefs on ghosts?
I told my ghost story in the introductory episode. Like I said, I've seen some spooky shit. I work and live right next to Galveston. And have you guys ever heard about you can actually go see it. There's a certain convention going on next year that you guys might be coming down for that we'll go down to Galveston to see this. But have y'all ever heard of The Face?
No.
The Face is, I've been to see it repeatedly, and it's one of those things where I think there's a lot more legitimacy to it because it's not one of those things that gets talked about because it's actually really fucking unsettling and really fucking creepy. There was a landowner. It's been a while since I've looked up the specifics. We'll put a link in the description of this episode for anybody that actually wants to know the full details. But essentially, there was a man who owned a sizable amount of land on Galveston Island. And, it was becoming a touristy sort of destination, so he told his family, keep the land within the family. It's going to be worth a lot of money someday. Keep it in the family, build on it, make some money, but keep it in the family. It's our land. Well, his children turned around, and as soon as he passed away, they sold it off. It was bought by UTMB, the University of Texas Medical Branch, and they built a 6 or 7 story building on top of it. Well, about a year or so after after this building was built, an outline of a face showed up on the outside of the building. And, everybody thought this was somebody screwing with them. So they had it sandblasted off. And then it appeared on a different part of the building. And it's been sandblasted off a couple of dozen times.
The same face?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
It's not like a photocopy of a face, but it's like very visibly a face, black slots where eyes would be, a distinct nose shape, a slit for a mouth. And every time they sandblast it, it keeps coming back. And they say it's basically the spirit of the man who told his descendants not to sell the land. He's pretty unhappy about the fact that his kids just went, screw you, Dad.
Wow.
Fascinating.
That's actually... And have you seen it?
Yeah, like I said, it's gotten to the point where it's sort of a Galveston tradition now because, like I said, Galveston's a very haunted place, and it's one of those sort of places where there's sort of a unique, almost ribald culture surrounding the hauntings. Like, in New Orleans, they've embraced the fact that, we're haunted. So pretty much these days, every year or two, the face will get sandblasted off, and then people just kind of wait to see where it pops up again. So I've gone and I've seen it.
Local spooky tradition. Almost,
yeah, I've gone and I've seen the face on 6 or 7 different spots of the building after it's been sandblasted off, and it's it's weird because you know how sometimes you see something spooky and you get the sense of malice with it? Well, when you go look at the face, there's not the sense of malice to it. Like, it's unsettling. It's one of those things where you can look upon it and see and feel that this isn't natural, but it's not malicious.
So it's kind of
frankly, I think the man's spirit enjoys being an attraction now.
Huh.
I guess that's how he reclaimed the land for himself.
There you go.
I mean, when you think about it, it's most definitely his land once again, even if somebody else owns the building.
Yeah, they can't get rid of him. They sandblast him off. He just comes back.
Yep.
That's a good way to look at it. What about you, Adam?
I don't have a whole lot of experience with ghosts, actually. I do remember when I was very young that there were some friends that I used to hang out with, and like their older sisters or something like that told me a ghost story, and I don't know, it scared the shit out of me. But again, I was like 6 or 7, and I fortunately, I guess, have not had any contacts with the supernatural, at least in terms of ghosts, as far as I can tell.
Oh, that's
I don't know that I necessarily really, it's like ghosts, I guess, never stuck out to me particularly as something that I thought was definitely really real. I think they're fascinating. I think I'm probably at about with Bradshaw in terms of how much I believe in this stuff. I think it's really cool to think about, but I just don't have any personal experience with them, unfortunately.
Well, that makes sense. It's like I don't really either. I told you guys earlier this story about how I went to a supposedly haunted house with my brother and some friends, and we spent the night in it, and I wasn't, scared. But I think that on my end, that comes me not really having an I believe button with the ghost thing, is that growing up in a very religious family, there's always, there's angels and demons and stuff, and they're all around you all the time, and your guardian angel's watching you, and there's this and that. So, like, you're kind of always surrounded by spirits. So, for something to be haunted, well, I mean, wouldn't the angels just take care of it? Or was it a demon? You know what I mean? I just, yeah. Now, I do, because my first story was about UFOs, I'm a fairly firm believer in aliens. But ghosts, I'd like to believe that some of, maybe not hauntings, but like things like the Amityville house, where all the murders took place, and there was the one room was actually the portal to hell, and actually Satan was there, or his demons or whatever was actually there and actually came into the house. That kind of stuff, demon possessions, that kind of stuff, I actually would believe over ghosts, personally.
Really?
I need a lot of proof to believe ghosts, but they're fun to talk about, and I love the stories, But I'm the kind of guy that you want to take with you if you want to go to a scary, it's going to be a scary, because I'm not going to be scared, because it kind of, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be the good straight man to take on the scary camping trip.
You're the sort of person that if you're noticing that stuff's getting weird and spooky, it means it's time to pack up and go.
Right, exactly. Because, I mean, I'm with the extra dimensional beings and that kind of thing, where, a demon or whatever or even an alien could be something from another dimension. Doesn't necessarily have to be from another galaxy or universe or whatever. It could be, what we would consider demons,
Oh, if you want to go into the whole demons as extra-dimensional entities just from a purely scientific point of view, I mean, we can do an episode on that.
Right.
We can do an episode about various thought experiments that have been put out, like the fact that you can recreate the functions of a human brain. You can do it in more than just bioorganic chemistry. You have your various thought experiments such as, Bowman's brain, etc. I mean, you really can do all those functions with anything. You're talking about gravitational waves. You can do it with electricity. I mean, when you break it down to its most fundamental systems, you can do it with water and pressure valves.
Okay. But,
one of the things that I've actually spent quite a bit of time because, I know Wilhelm. I know in real life, but he and I have spent a lot of time talking about off air the fact that there is, especially once you get down to the quantum level, there is some definite things to support extra-dimensional entities. I mean, even once you get past your classic arcana and start talking about more modern scientific theories, your string theory, your various brains, your BRANE, not BRAIN, the component P brains, etc. That would be a good episode to have him on for.
So this is almost like a scientific ghost explanation,
scientific
sort of
demonology,
right,
essentially.
we're off the ghost thing, but I was just saying that I actually do believe that kind of stuff exists. Where ghosts, to me, I don't know. Maybe, and that's another thing, is maybe some of the haunting things might actually be not necessarily like the spirits of the dead, but some sort of extra dimensional thing. Maybe that's where you go.
Some sort of extra dimensional entity that's had an impression left on it by the deceased. But I mean, at that point, you're getting into the whole territory of, if it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it's a fucking duck.
What?
Well,
go on.
What you're saying about like trying to explain, say, demons, I believe one of you said it before, like, yesterday's magic is today's science.
Johnny.
So if these paranormal things do exist, there could be an explanation for it. A lot of people who are into ghosts, like, will make that kind of pseudoscience explanation, like the energy that was left behind when they died, left an imprint into, say, an object or a location.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you have various... there are at least stories about, hauntings where they were very clearly... you have your various types of hauntings. You have hauntings where the spirit in question is an independent entity. You have hauntings where they're very clearly tied to one specific location. Right. And then you have some where they're tied to specific people, and some that go even further where they're tied to specific bloodlines. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff there.
Right, that's true.
I told you about my experience before when I went to Blue Hills and the fire ghost, or whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. When I was younger, I stayed on a supposedly haunted ship. When I was with the Boy Scouts, we stayed on the USS Salem, which is actually known for being haunted.
You were a Boy Scout, Brad?
Yeah.
Aw. Okay, go ahead.
What do you think? You think that's adorable or something?
No, I just never.
They taught me how to use a knife, motherfucker.
Oh, that's.
I'm not gonna get diddled again.
Again. No. Anyways.
No, but the ship, the USS Salem, the USS Salem is supposedly haunted. I didn't see anything. I didn't sleep that night. That's one. I didn't see anything, but still, that fucking just staying on a like a battleship or a military vessel, like that fucking, that's creepy. Couldn't sleep. Yeah, I didn't like staying in the little cots, or they were actually like hammocks.
And I just remembered another story. Huh?
Yeah.
Sorry. No, when you're done.
Oh no, go ahead. I was just talking about how I didn't see anything.
Okay.
But if you have something where you did experience something,
I didn't see anything. But remember how Hazard had just said that if Johnny says, "Hey guys, we gotta go," then it's probably time to go.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
When I was in the Navy, I was on a certain ship for a while, and it had two. One was a suicide, and one of them, the kid fell down the ladder and just broke his neck. Two different spaces on the ship. One was near the aft end of the ship, the back end, and it was the some fan room, and it was where these one little division of guys it was their little shop, that's where they worked all day when they were underway or whatever. And there were 6 guys in that division, and one of them, one night he came to berthing, and he just basically gave away all his shit. Like, gave away his PlayStation games and his PlayStation, and nobody really thought anything of it, at the time, because it was kind of late, and they thought maybe he was drunk or something. I don't know. But the next morning, they found him hanging in the in their shop at the back. And now, at night, when the ship is underway, they have what's called a watch from every division, and they go and they once an hour they make a round around their spaces. Like, that's the whole deal. They got to walk around and make sure none of the valves are broken, or there's not a steam leak or something like that, or whatever. It's not like a security watch. It's more like a
it's one of those things where ships used to be a lot less reliable. So
where you walk around, or even that, or like, it's like when the guy walks around a factory, makes sure nothing's blown up. But now it's off hours. Anyways, so I'd heard stories about guys that wouldn't go down there because they would see him. Every now and then.
Fuck!
Every now and then they would see him down there hanging there.
Ooh.
And and I had to do, because when you're in E4, you're that's one of the things, even if you're not attached to the ship, you still have to do your watches and stuff. And I was on it for a couple of runs, so like I had to do a couple of these walkarounds, and I didn't like it back there. I didn't see anything, but it just felt weird. Like, going back there, it just felt weird. And then in the forward spaces, there was a shaft where a guy had fallen, like I said, and broke his neck. And I went down there one night with a couple of guys. We were going to go check it out. And we went down there, and it was like 3 a.m. or some shit like that. And we're coming back. We're coming back from Hawaii. And we're going to go to San Diego. And this giant fucking... It's kind of an empty ship. It's for carrying like large vehicles and a lot of people, like a lot of Marines and stuff. But all the Marines were in Iraq, and it was basically just bringing us back. There was a small, some special forces detachments and stuff coming back, and so we went down and to check this out, and I didn't see anything. I didn't feel anything. Whatever, this is bullshit. Climbing back up the ladder, about 2/3 of the way up, it kind of got dark, and this ladder is 7 decks high. So how many ever feet a deck of a ship is? So it's like 12 feet times 7. It's 84 feet. You're climbing up a ladder. And about 2/3 of the way up, all of a sudden I was just like, you know what? We got to get the fuck out of here. I just felt this weird tightening in my back. I never actually saw anything, but I felt like weirdness. But maybe it's just because I knew somebody died there. But, yeah.
Was it actually at the spot where he'd fallen from?
I don't know. I don't know. I didn't ask. I just did. The whole rumor was that the guy fell off the ladder. Could have been. That could have been maybe where he fell. Maybe he fell and smacked his back on the ladder there, or something.
Ooh, yeah.
It was just weird, But like, honestly, as we're going up, it kind of got where it was brighter in the bottom where the actual space was. Because there was like 2 levels of spaces where they would do work in the I don't remember what space it was, but and then it was like 6 sections of ladder where you're just, there's nothing to do. There's no floors to get off on. So it's just 6 sections of ladder at like 10 or 12 feet a section. And then it went up into this, like a tube ladder where like there was a thing behind you too. Mm-hmm. And it kind of got dark because there wasn't any lights for maybe 15, 20 feet. And where it kind of got dim is where I kind of like got the tightness in my back. So I don't know. Maybe that's where the kid fell off. Maybe that's where the kid smashed his back on the thing. Maybe I was just like, all of a sudden, I'm like, let's just get the fuck out of here because somebody died here. I don't know. But I just felt the need to get the fuck out of there. So.
Yeah, I bet.
Like I said, walking around the back end of it, it just was weird to me because it was dark. I'm like, oh, this is the dark place where the kid died, where the kid killed himself. I'm like, oh, that's the door where he hanged himself. Fuck. I just can't imagine being the guy that had to go there and find him.
Oh, fuck, dude.
And, but supposedly guys have seen him hanging there, so. But I never got anything other than a mildly uncomfortable feeling. So there's my ghost stories.
Fuck.
I'm sure there's plenty of military ghost stories, man. Like the different ships. I'm sure I've heard stories about guys falling off the back end of the ship, and then they're every now and then you'll see a ghost of a guy on watch who's on the aft end of the ship, and there's not anybody there actually. I've heard stories about that. The military's got a shit ton of ghost stories in barracks.
I mean, I've always heard that the wreck of the Arizona Memorial over in Hawaii is haunted as a motherfucker.
Really?
Yeah.
I have not heard that, and I've been on it like twice.
That's, like I said, that's just what I've heard, because, all the people that fucking drowned there.
That's possible, A lot of people die in a lot of places in the military.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, I'm not opposed to the fact that there could be ghosts, but I'm just saying that I haven't actually seen anything ghostly.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah, that's about where I am.
Yeah. Shit.
Well, what do you believe as far like? Do you think there is such thing as ghosts?
Like I said, I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't not believe it. I'd like.
I think right now, like as it stands, I don't really believe it, but I am convincible.
Yeah, I mean, there's enough quote unquote true stories out there, to where, sure, why not? We have to have some sort of connection. At the same time, so you believe in ghosts, so do you believe in an afterlife? Basically, on top of it,
Yeah.
Whether it's whether it's heaven, hell, whatever you want to fucking call it. If you believe in a ghost, then you believe that there is something after death. Because
I would also I would take it a step further and say that you believe in the existence of a soul, or something that is like a soul.
Yeah.
Well,
that's what
now,
is a
hold
human
on
spirit.
a second. Now, I have also heard stories about where places are haunted by animals. So, are you insisting that an animal might have a soul?
Dude, when I was younger, I saw all dogs go to heaven, so I'm thoroughly convinced.
Oh my god! But no, I guess you would have to kind of believe in the existence of a soul.
Even not in the existence of a soul, but something like that of a soul, sort of a spirit within you,
like a consciousness, because it's a personality, right? It's an identity.
Yeah.
It's not just some random humanoid ghost. But I mean, what is the difference between a ghost and a person, right? Except that the ghost is just dead and can interact with something,
the
or
person
maybe not,
has a corporeal form. I mean, personally, I don't know what exactly it is that I believe. Like Johnny's said before, specifically on the Fatherland, I do believe in, a great big something out there, a higher power, but I also believe in what I like to think of as the continuity of consciousness. And that is essentially when you accept the creation of the universe, when you accept that where originally there was nothing but the void, now suddenly there is stuff. You have to accept the fact that that's not going to happen only once. It's going to happen an infinite number of times, in an infinite number of parallels, for an infinite amount of time. Everything that can happen, will happen, has happened, is happening, and is going to happen. Amidst an array of universes that is infinity, which, people throw around the term infinity, but really it's not something the human mind is really equipped to handle. An infinite number of permutations means that everything happens. If you go along this venue of thought, we are having this conversation right now in an infinite number of universes that have all progressed the same up to this point, and they aren't even, the tiniest imaginable particulate fraction of the total that is out there. So really, when you think about things along that way, from your own point of view, from your own personal consciousness, you will survive anything that happens to you. Because if you don't survive it, there is no continuity of consciousness. Granted, it may not be the exact same you, but it'll feel the fucking same. So what's the fucking point of arguing about it?
Hazard, are you saying that maybe you don't believe in ghosts, but a different Hazard believes in ghosts?
Quite possibly, although I also...
Or maybe a different Hazard is a ghost.
Or in a parallel universe, there's a Hazard that is, yeah.
Maybe there's a parallel universe where we're all ghosts talking about the existence of humans.
Yeah.
Oh.
Mind blown.
Do you believe in matter, guys? I don't know.
In matter?
Oh, yeah, what's this mass thing people keep talking about?
Right?
Yeah.
No, let's not do that. Let's not go.
I heard a story about people that couldn't pass through
Brad
each
knows
other.
mass.
I'm from fucking Mass, dude. Well, I'm proud Masshole. About to get fucking wicked spooked out in the Bridgewater Triangle.
Oh man.
All right. Well.
So that's So we went from ghosts. We got some demonology thrown in there. We got Brad's wicked accent.
Wicked.
Wicked pisser.
Wicked pissa.
Is that actually a thing that gets said out there?
It is.
No, dude, that was like when my fucking mom was growing up in Boston. People would say that.
They still said it until like the fucking 90s, dude.
Yeah, well, I'm fucking.
Oh, that's right. You're
it's
like,
not the 90s.
You're like 12. I forgot. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I'm only 12 years old.
Only 3.5 years
So-
old.
Is there anything else anybody wanted to bring up or talk about? Bradshaw, you got anything else for us?
I kind of covered everything I wanted to cover. I could definitely, come back on if there's anything else from New England that you guys are going to talk about, or anything related to urban legends.
That's cool. Yeah, urban.
Yeah, I
Urban
like it.
Legends would be a cool show. Was it the Jersey Devil? You've got. I'm sure there's. You've got the alligators in the sewers in New York. You've got. The tunnels in Chinatown in San Francisco. There's all kinds of urban legends that are kind of creepy and spooky and have weird shit going on.
Yeah,
I
we
think
could take that just about anywhere.
That's why I like the Bridgewater Triangle, because it was just one giant urban legend that encompassed a ton of different urban legends. Bigfoot and ghosts, UFOs, all that. That was the one thing that drew me in, was just the fact that this was like an urban legend within an urban legend.
Like a nexus of spooky happenings.
Urban legend that was also a historical happening too.
Yeah, I mean, I talked about King Philip's War, which, I mean, that whole trope about like the haunted Indian burial ground, the entire fucking state of Massachusetts is an Indian burial ground, pretty much.
Right. A lot of New England is.
Yeah.
That's which would explain why a lot of it's so haunted.
Mm-hmm.
Allegedly.
Well,
no, I'm kidding. I keyed. But no, like we could do more stuff on New England. I mean, I'm sure we could get into the different Indian. Even if we just did an episode on Indian burial grounds in New England or in general.
I could even come and talk about Salem. There's like the Salem witch trials.
Oh, Salem, man, witchcraft. Now, witchcraft is another one that I like. That's a good one. Magic and witchcraft. Yes, we'll definitely.
I got.
Hey, here's the thing, Brad. You can't come on all the shows. No,
I'm not expecting
Well,
to.
no, we're definitely gonna have you back on, brother.
Yeah, I don't know about half the shit you talk about, which is why I'm listening, just so I can learn.
Nice.
well, I'm glad we're being informative.
When you can't listen to the greatest up and coming podcast because you're on it.
Implying I don't do that anyway.
Yeah,
you guys are like the number 3 podcast on the web.
Well,
I would say so.
we're hoping to overtake the number 2 spot. They're getting old and bloated.
It shouldn't be hard.
Take out Joe
Well,
Rogan.
we're our own podcast. We don't need to compare ourselves to others.
That's right. When you say the number 2 podcast, are you talking like Joe Rogan? I mean, because that's a huge show. We talking?
Oh yeah, he talks about Bigfoot too.
He does.
Talk about niggas still wildin', maybe.
Niggas still wildin'.
Is that actually a podcast?
It should be.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is.
That'll
That is
just
a
be
very
people
funny-
going, hold up, for 20 minutes.
Hold up.
You try and tell
Until-
me?
Until they have the Harambe Memorial episode.
Yeah.
Anyways, all right, guys.
Now we're shit posting.
This was fun.
Oh.
Yeah. Thank you very much for coming on, Bradshaw. You've been very informative.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, Brad. Appreciate it. Thanks, Adam, for reining us in again as usual.
Absolutely.
And I'd like to thank Hazard for trying to keep the F-bombs to as minimal as possible.
Yep.
And failing
I think I dropped
somewhat,
more than
but
you did.
But yeah, well, we had Bradshaw on, so you won't be able to know. You know.
Yeah, I dropped way more. It's a Boston thing.
It is. All right, guys. Well, we're gonna take it out of here with
Bradshaw's creepypasta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I'm Johnny Monoxide for Hazard McRee, Adam Hay, and Bradshaw. We have been the Ahnenerbe Hour with the Paranormies.
It was around 2 in the morning when I started making my way home down Route 44 from Rehoboth. Nothing but the smooth hum of the engine in my 76 Chevelle to keep me awake. I couldn't turn on the radio as it had died long before the car came into my possession. My girlfriend Deborah slouched asleep in the passenger seat. I don't blame her. We both did a lot of drinking at the Woods party. Everyone spent the night getting shit-faced and chasing these mythical creatures called puckwudgies. We didn't actually see any, but we had fun drinking nonetheless. I grabbed my pack of Marlboro Reds from the dash, and as I pushed the cigarette lighter in, the entire car just dies. It's the fucking battery again, I say to myself. I pull the car to the side of the road, and as it jerks to a stop, Deborah wakes up. I explain to her that the car has died and to stay put while I go look for a gas station to call AAA. She locks the door behind me as I make my way down the road. There were hardly any streetlights on the road and nothing but trees on either side. I kept getting this feeling of being watched, but every time I looked around, I saw nothing. Just the darkness. I made it about a mile down the road when I came to a street lamp, and there was a man sitting cross-legged directly in the center of the light. He was wearing a plaid shirt and torn-up jeans that clung tightly to his lanky frame. He had long red hair the color of fire and a scraggly beard to match. As I got closer, I was able to make out his face. His eyes were dark and sunken in, and his gaunt face stretched as he twisted a toothy grin. His teeth were gnarled and yellow, as if he smoked 2 packs a day. He really creeped me out, but I needed a phone, and this guy might have one. "Hey," I shouted. "Do you have a phone I could borrow? My car broke down about a mile back." He says nothing. He just continues to grin. When I was about 200 feet away, his smile grew even larger, almost ear to ear, and he began this unearthing chuckle. "Hey man, I asked you a fucking question," I yelled. His chuckle grew louder. I stood frozen as he burst out in a raspy, high-pitched laugh. "What the fuck is so funny?" That was the moment I noticed his eyes. They weren't just dark. They were completely black. My voice trembling with fear as I shouted, "Stop laughing before I knock that smile off your stupid ginger face." His laugh stopped abruptly. His face began to contort in ways that no human face should be able to. The instant I saw him start to rise, I bolted back towards the car. I ran as though my life depended on it. I mean, hell, it probably did. I could hear his maniacal laugh echo as I made a mad dash back towards Deborah. When I got back to the car, I could see her on the side of the road crying. But before I could console her, I heard a familiar sound come on the radio. It was the man laughing. I turn off the radio and throw Deborah in the passenger seat. Make one last attempt to start the engine. When I hear the car turn over, I immediately floor it. I didn't know where I was going. I just wanted to get the fuck out of here. I drove for about 15 minutes when I noticed the low fuel light was on. I pulled into a nearby gas station and waited for the attendant. That's when I noticed he was wearing a red flannel, tattered jeans, and he had bright red hair.